Hey, what's up, fellow post-apocalyptic survivors, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review for Apple TV series Silo. My name's English Dave, and joining me is my head of judicial, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
We're here to talk Silo Season 2, Episode 2, The Order. Juliet's fate seems sealed when certain truths finally come to light. This episode, the first episode this season, was focused on Juliet alone, what she's discovered outside. And this is almost a this is almost like the actual season, episode 1 of the season, in a way. It's almost like that episode was a prelude. And this is more the fallout of the end of last season, right? It's almost like takes place right after. We've seen what Juliet's doing. Now we're seeing what everyone else is doing, reacting to Juliet's leaving. And the fallout of all of that. What I liked about this episode is, one thing I will say, it's not necessarily a fault. I think it's more of a to showcase how much we like Juliet and that character. I did feel her missing, her presence missing.
100%.
For sure.
About that.
But I did like seeing the fallout from the perspective of the people who are remaining. And in this episode, it really plays with the idea of truths and what truths mean. Right. And I think this show does a great job of kind of playing with that idea, because it's like, okay, is telling the truth the good thing, or is it keeping the lie a good thing? What it actually helps.
Yeah.
Because you find yourself in the episode where you're like, I agree with what your questions you're asking, but the results of what you think will happen is not what's going to happen. And it's actually going to be worse if you keep going down this track. What do you think of this episode?
So I like that we get a different vantage point from the first episode, but I think similar to you, there were points where I almost felt two things. Either, would this have been great as releasing both episodes at the same time, so we kind of got like the full view at once. But at the same time, I guess it's also nice to kind of get some more focus on the other characters and other like brewing storylines. And yeah, just the fact that we get to see a lot of the fallout and the consequences of Juliet's actions, and how it's just
Or inactions.
or inactions, right? And it's not a linear thing, right? Like their world is not just like, oh, this happened and that happened. There are a lot of ramifications to what they all saw, which was basically Juliet walking over the hill and not claiming. So I think it served a good purpose in just helping us kind of add some color to what everybody else is going through, right? And because we know Juliet is alive, but again, dum. It's kind of a mystery to the rest of them, right? Of what really occurred. So I enjoyed that. Like I said, I enjoyed seeing the different vantage point. I do kind of hope in future episodes there's a little bit more of a juxtaposition. Not to get into spoilers yet, but just I would love to see a little bit more of a mix. But I think just in terms of setting the groundwork for the rest of the season, I think it did a good job of showing us how certain characters feel about things that have happened, the kind of growing I say factions or different groups within the silo, and just how people are dealing with the actions or inactions of Juliet and what has happened. And I think it's set up the season to have some interesting directions it can take, right? There are a lot of, not a lot, there are a good number of side stories and sub stories that I'm also very curious about, that they kind of laid some breadcrumbs for in this episode. So yeah, this episode, it didn't knock my socks off, but I think it was a good episode still in moving the story forward, but also giving us some more questions about things that may have happened in the past, long ago and even recently. So all in all, I think it was a good episode.
I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly. It's one of those episodes that, placed anywhere else, I mean, for obvious reasons, and I think it wouldn't hit the same. I think the episode does its job, and its job is to be a foundational episode to kind of readjust us for what to expect this season and
Yeah.
what are we going to be focusing on this season? Because the last episode is more just one focus for Juliet. It's not
Yeah.
really, it doesn't give us anything about the season. Whereas
Yeah.
this is setting up the characters. It's even, showing us that the water's boiling, so
Yeah.
to speak. Right? We know that things are starting to boil. We know
Mhm.
that this is like a powder keg that we
Yeah.
know it's going to explode at some point.
Mhm.
and
Exactly.
and if there's any clue as to what we've seen in last week's episode with other silos, this is
It
inevitable.
Mhm.
Right, and this has happened before in the silo in terms of people asking questions and not being
Mhm.
happy with the answers that they're getting or the answers that they're not getting. But on the
Yeah.
flip side, what I like about this as well is, again, perspective. Just because you see something, and this show does a good job of, just because you saw it doesn't mean that's the whole
Doesn't
story.
Yes, exactly.
you know, it doesn't mean you have all the answers based on what you
Mhm.
see, and it's
Mhm.
not that you're not seeing the whole truth, right? No matter how you look at it, and that's what I find interesting. But let's go fully into spoilers.
Spoilers.
To continue this conversation about not seeing what you see, I think this episode does a fantastic job of, like, on the surface of it, you have the good guys and the bad guys, Bernard and some of these other characters are the bad guys, and the people at the lower levels are the good guys
Good,
fighting for
yes, quote
power.
on,
They
quote
just want
unquote.
to get out, and they're being restricted by the people in power. But
Mhm.
in my head, I'm like, if the guys just said, you know what, just go out, see what happens.
I was I was thinking that if I was Bernard, I'd be like, "Oh, you guys want to go out? All right, pick 5 people. No, pick 5 people.
Well, no,
All
go,
right,
go, go.
go ahead." Hmm? Because I feel like they almost think he's more evil than he is, right? Or like more conniving than he actually is. Like it's not safe to breathe out there. It actually isn't.
He even says to Meadows, he's like, I saw all those bodies. They must have had some kind of a revolution or revolt or something like that.
Yeah,
And look, this can happen here. He's actually worried, and I believe he's actually worried
but
about
the
people
livelihood of
revolting,
people. Yeah,
fighting, starting rebellion and trying to get out and seeing the same thing happening, right? But
very quickly
on the other
on that
side of
though,
it,
like I didn't even think. I was surprised he could see camera actors. Was I surprised? I don't know. When I
well,
saw a little like computer, like a little Jarvis computer system, I was like, oh, well,
well,
okay.
that's what I was getting to. I was getting to, as much as he's trying to stop a revolution and people from dying, he is still keeping secrets and has control because we get
Mhm.
introduced to a brand new room, which I don't know if you noticed. The room he was in is identical to the room we see the stranger in at the end of
The
last week's episode.
two-eyed guy. Yeah,
The server, oh, you finally saw it do different colors.
I did. I was like, oh, his eyes are different color. It's crazy. It's crazy, dog.
Uh, um, Two things that occurred to me. One, this room, the technology in this room seems more advanced than we've seen them
Things
have.
super advanced. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
the
like
fact that
Krypton.
you're a computer guy, you're a tech guy. What kind of tech do you need to be deep underground and
Yeah,
able to see wireless footage of someone on the other side of another silo?
in 4K,
Right?
like a
And
little choppy.
it's voice activated
Mhm.
controls.
Yeah,
What
no,
tech is that?
that's like ChatGPT plus. So I was, I think I guess that's what those are some of the breadcrumbs I kind of mentioned. Of they're starting to show us that there's a lot more than we think. Even the book he opened, right, the Bible, the order is like, oh wait, there's another book. Because I think they had a separate book which is just like rules and regulations.
Mhm.
But it's interesting, but I think that's what gets me even more curious and interested in this show because I now we just want to know more about it. Who set these silos up? How? What is the connection?
Who's really in charge?
It's not, yeah, like because if or my point, if Bernard can see that, who else can see that view? I'm assuming
Mhm.
there's a command center somewhere, maybe in space. Like I think you
Mhm.
mentioned last episode that who even says we're on Earth? I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe the aliens are watching these humans. But yeah, the system was definitely a lot more advanced than I thought, which just led to even more questions in my brain. And I think that's the real issue, right? It's not like Bernard is also evil, but the amount of lies and cover-ups is something it just that can never work out well for you with a bunch of people. It just can't.
And there's layers to the lies, right? Because we know
Mhm.
that Robert, played by Common, whose, side note, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Common in anything he acts in he always sounds like he's rapping or
Yeah, a little
spitting
bit,
poetry,
a little bit.
right?
Yeah,
There's always some kind of poetry to the
spoken
way
word.
he's
Yeah,
talking, and
yeah,
always kind of like a flow to his words. And I'm like,
yeah.
stop rapping.
Eh?
I
Just
can't
act, right?
get out of it. I always see Common. Just he's always got that, again, for better or for worse, he's always got that smooth poetic flow to things. And I'm like, everything doesn't have to be a rap. But we see that in last season that he is aware of certain surveillance things, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the room with surveillance, but it seems like he doesn't know about this because when the
Yeah,
alarms go out, Bernard's just like, "Oh shit!" He
yeah,
runs out
and
to make sure
sprints
no one
out.
sees it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm skipping around here a bit. He he wants to keep things away from Robert, right? Because Robert's just like, "Hey, why can't I be a shadow? Let me
Yeah,
be the guy." And his wife's like, "Hey, yeah, why can't you be the shadow?" And
she
and 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 Bernard is just like,
mm,
I don't know about
um,
you. You're
yeah,
better
I'm
off
gonna
doing."
go look Max. I'm gonna
But
go
then
talk
he's
to
like,
Max.
"Hey, Meadows, you want to be my shadow?"
What's that again, please?
Question, as we're jumping around, is it just me, or was this some kind of thing that hints at a history between?
Little sexual tension there.
I'm just saying, Meadows
Just a
and
little bit.
Bernard. You sound like
Call
there's
it
some
now.
history there.
They have a kid. That's my guess because
Oh,
from
yeah?
everything we get from them, right? There's something. Wait, if I get the order right, she was his shadow 25 years ago,
Yes.
or then she left, and she's been drinking since then.
Which,
And
you know what? She's been drinking for 25 years. She looks great.
yo, I was
Unless she's 15.
well, fair enough, right? Because damn, like, because even last season, when we saw her drink, like she drinks. It's not just like, oh, sip. She's like she gets twisty and like messed up on the couch. Um, but then yeah, she stopped drinking this episode as soon as she found out that Juliet crossed the hill, even though
Mhm.
she didn't believe that, right? I mean, I was like,
It's like,
don't pour it away. Like, no, don't pour it away. You don't have enough resources for that, lady.
I like when she's
um,
like, like when she was like to the person that came to tell her, she's like, what? And she didn't die to you. Huh. It's like, no,
yeah,
actually,
yeah, actually, like,
actually,
yeah.
how did you
Um,
know?
But I thought that was actually good acting. I enjoyed Meadows this episode because I feel like Meadows is showing us the view of somebody because Meadows has a comfortable life here. She lives like a VIP. She has a crib. She has drink, scissor, whatever else she needs. But like even she, by the end of it, to Bernard is like, I want to go outside. The dreaded words, right? Um,
But
and I
also, it
just
seems
wonder where
like,
that's gonna go.
but it also seems like she knows something or knows some things.
Mm-hmm.
That's like almost like she became aware of something or some things, and not necessarily the secrets that us, the audience, knows, but other
Mm-hmm.
things
Something
that
else.
cause her to want to forget through drinking,
Yeah.
right? So I'm curious what she knows. Like I feel like she knows something that even maybe others don't know. That she knows herself. I don't know.
It's funny you say forget through drinking because last season, remember that lady who I don't remember said that there's something in the water that makes them forget. So I was like, wait, is she drinking
To not
alcohol to
forget.
not forget? I
I
was a
mean,
little like, I'm not sure what maybe she's numbing her emotions but trying to not actually partake, right? But I don't know, it's interesting, but for sure Meadows has some knowledge that I believe us the viewer don't have yet, that they're waiting to pull out of the bag.
mm.
What I can't remember why my spirit felt like it was a child with Bernard. Maybe I don't know, I'm just I'm reaching in the bag for that one, but
I mean,
there's something there.
I do feel that there's some kind of romantic tension there.
Hmm.
I mean, even the way he apologizes to her, I'm like, when does he do that?
I'd be like, oh, so
What?
you're gonna be nice?
He's
I've seen
what?
this before from men. It's when you want some tail.
Oh yes, let's talk about the growing rebellion, right? We see that people are they've seen what they think they saw.
Yes.
And everyone's just like, all these years, the whole goal is to be able to leave. Clearly, this person can leave. Why can't we all leave? And that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Very
We understand.
valid question.
Very, very
Very
valid,
valid.
right? And people feel that they've been held back. It's like, why would I keep doing this work when the outside world is free and breathable?
Yeah.
But what I do like, well, what I don't like and what I do like is that you have someone like Shirley who's just like, they're not telling us the answers. Let's fight.
Yeah. Jenny's crazy.
And Marta is coming out with a hose and like, what the hell's all with you guys? She's trying,
That's so
if we're
funny.
going to do, and I like her journey, right? Martha goes from like, no, Juliet's definitely dead. Can you just let me grieve, please? Just let me
Yeah,
be upset
please. Yeah.
in this,
To
and then she's like, she's definitely dead, but we can kind of hold on to her name, to then realizing like maybe she's not dead.
maybe not actually. Yeah.
But if we're going to do this, let's be smart
Let's
about
be
it, please.
smart about it, right? Like, because I agree. Shirley is just there, like, yap, 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 and like, no, the mayor sucked. And it's like, yo, can you be chill? Like, you
And then
have
for
to
us,
have some tact.
and I feel like for us as the audience, on top of that, we're like, you don't know there's cameras everywhere,
Yeah. Like, literally, even when Martha was in jail, right? And I
right?
think they showed some cameras in
Yeah,
the Raptors, the Beeper, and I was like, oh wow, like, damn, okay,
there,
London,
there are
CCTV,
cameras.
every single. And I guess so. That's still part of my question because okay, I assume yes, Bernard has access to some of these cameras. But who else is watching? Right? I'm still very much like no. I feel like there's a general overseer of all the silos who is watching all of this. I'm super curious as to the depth of how far this rabbit hole goes. Right?
But it's not just who is the who of it all, right? My thing is the why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is, like, even if we find out who's watching, what is the purpose of secretly watching these people? If
People,
the whole
yeah,
point is to keep people safe because the outside is,
yeah,
because they're apparently not prisoners. So what are we watching? The only times you watch people like that is to watch for prisoners or people doing something wrong, or for experimentational
like
purposes,
yeah, social experiment,
right? So
psychological.
yeah, some kind
Mm-hmm.
of social experiment or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure. Again, not having read the book. Again, it could go as crazy as this is aliens on a different planet trying to see how humans react in different circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the silos seem to be very similar. Maybe there's subtle differences to see
Mm-hmm.
how things change and play out.
Yeah.
Have people cross silos and not
Mm-hmm.
said anything,
With Juliet the first,
right?
first.
Is there, are there, and it wouldn't surprise me. Do they have other routes to the silos? Like, can you go from one
Like
silo to the
imagine
other?
like a connection, like a connecting
Right.
tunnel. I wouldn't be
Without going
surprised.
up. Yeah, some kind of connecting tunnel. Does that exist? I don't know. Let's talk about Nox. They're building something connected to the rebellion, right? And I'm not sure where this is going. And I wasn't even particularly fond of the scene that Nox and the guy, we can't think of his name, who he meets.
Well, to who we told not to make weapons.
Yes, I
Um,
understand it because Nox is like when Shirley's like, and you're the one that ratted her out. He was
he's
like,
like, okay, it was quiet for a while. Like,
he was like, yes, I did.
okay,
Because on the
bye.
one hand, I'm like, okay, I understand with him because he's almost reminds me of Martha, where it's like he sees the violent explosion of what could happen. So he's trying to, you know, quell that before it
Prevent that.
explodes. But then on the other side, he has a secret, and I'm not sure what the secret is. And
Hmm.
he's just the guy. And I have one more thing. So my question is to you is, do you think it's a secret that serves the rebellion, or a secret that he's actually secretly working for Bernard and all those guys? Is he a
The answer,
traitor, or is he a fellow
the
rebeller?
answer is based on the fact that I've seen the trailer for future episodes.
I never watched that.
I didn't want to. I usually don't, right? Like at the end of the episode, I run away from the next one. But I have to just give that disclaimer. But I won't say anyone specific, but it's just that I believe, even this is still my thought, even minus what I saw. I believe that even if he's not currently on the rebellion side, he's going to end up on the rebellion side. Um,
Okay.
like I do believe he turned Juliet in because he's trying to protect everybody down there, right?
Yeah.
I believe that he has an overarching goal to protect them all, and I just can't see how that's going to align with judicial or Bernard's plans long term. It's not. It almost can't, right? The more things come to the light, especially this Bernard's story of we found new tape,
Well,
like sir,
I was gonna get there, right?
maybe.
And let's go straight into that. he had his Oz Cobb moment
Yeah, exactly.
where, you know, I was sitting there with my wife. I was like,
Nah,
motherfucker,
he spun that
that
well
is
though. I must
that is
say.
a great plan.
I must say, I was like, okay,
It's like,
okay, okay,
he's like, our
okay.
secret plan worked. I didn't want to
And
tell you
even wait,
guys.
unless I'm confused, Meadow believed him as well, right? Because
No, no, no. She
didn't she
knew about the
believe?
tape. She knew about the
Yeah,
tape. She just didn't believe
yeah.
that it was done on purpose. But she knows
Okay,
about the
yeah,
tape.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because even the, I love her little looks at him. She looks at him like,
yeah. She just didn't know he was gonna spin it
you
like
sit,
that, right?
drop it right there. Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I think she was almost impressed and probably reminded like why I don't work with this guy. Like it's sort of one of those moments where it's like, damn, how do you so conveniently spin that?
But
Because yeah, I mean, it would work.
not just the spin of it all, the throwing in of hecklers as
Like
well.
yeah, like
That's not gonna work.
you know,
I
like
even
they
said to
really
my
want to
wife,
bribe some people to through
I
those
said to my
in.
wife, I was just like, "Oh, those are definitely paid hecklers," because he had a response too quickly. His response was too quick. It seemed
Because
scripted.
my wife said the same thing. She was like, "There's no way those guys were bribed."
But I could see it working. I was like, "Of course it's going to work. It's what the people want to hear." And you're still also spinning Julia as this hero, right? You're not denouncing her. You're not saying anything negative about
Yeah,
her, and you're still giving the people hope.
but it's funny how the people were like, "Oh," it's funny that people were how they started writing this Justice League symbol everywhere. Because I was like, JL, what is JL?
Yeah. For a second, I was like, "What's her
J-
last name?
I was literally, yeah, I was like, Juliet Leon. Wait, what? Oh,
Lewis?
shit.
Lewis?" I was just thinking
Like
of all
Juliet
last
lives.
names with
I was
L.
like, I'm so sorry. That is not obvious. For whoever started that, it is like do a J libs or something, right?
Right,
Like
right, exactly.
JLIV, like
Right, right. The
not here.
JL. I always think I was like, Justice League? Uh,
Literally.
um, anything else this episode that stood out to you?
Um uh few sorry things. I think we mentioned Sims and his wife, but I'm also curious as to why his wife is
Yeah, she seems so
so like
like
hell bent on like him being the shadow.
I feel like she has ulterior motives as well.
I think so too. It could just be look, let's be the highest in the pecking order in this place. It's possible. But it was just very like she was just very not overbearing, but very like you need to be the shadow. Like and I think I suspect that might even cause some issue issues with Sims and Bernard in the future.
Well,
Um
Bernard also kind of uh, uh, gave Sims shit about putting his family first last season, right? I think that's part of that too. And I could even see Sims's wife being all like, "Why did you put us first?"
yeah. No, I could actually see that for sure. Like that wasn't the plan.
All right, all right. I also like you can see another thing that's brewing again within an episode that's doing a lot of setting up for narratives that are brewing. Another narrative that's brewing is acting Sheriff Billings being like, if
Billings,
she
yeah.
said she wanted to leave, why did she run? What did
Yeah.
you think of that scene?
Well, like why didn't she clean? And even yeah, quizzing because he quizzed Sims right,
Yeah.
a little bit on his report. So I like to see that because I feel like I honestly feel like it's all setting up for like a grand revolution where I I I struggle to see who would be on Bernard's side
Mhm.
just because so many people are kind of poking the bear and starting to like find loopholes in the stories, right? And
Mhm.
it's fine if I think it's fine if like some of them knew the truth, but then when, like I said, people like Sims Billings, the people who believe they know the whole story start to find out that there are things they don't know. You're like, wait, wait, okay, hold on. Now I need to know the whole facts too, right? So with Billing, I really feel like he's going to keep unraveling and keep poking and just reach the. I mean, I don't. They have not had a good. When I say good, they haven't had a sheriff who has stayed on the side of
Mhm.
Judicia and I don't know in the past three sheriffs at least, right? Like there's something that just always leads the sheriffs to be like, yeah, the inconsistencies are way too much, right? It's
Mhm.
just I can't, in good conscience or even just reasonably,
And
close
he
my
knows,
eyes to that thing.
and with finding the book, and I believe he also saw the
Yes.
cameras. He
Mm-hmm.
knows some of he already knows that there's secrets there,
Mm-hmm.
right? He just hasn't revealed how much he knows.
And that's the question. So how much does he know? Is there even more that we haven't seen? But I definitely see him just going around and interrogating more and possibly just ending up on the side of the rebellion in some way.
Mhm.
Um and then Cooper also. So Cooper, who was Juliet's old shadow.
Yeah.
I like how, yeah, when he caught Shirley, and they were like, "Oh, you gonna go tell?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell that you guys are are in your rooms. I'm one of you guys." It's like
I'm with
it's like
you. Even though he's a terrible sleuth
terrible
because
spy.
Martha's like, I was following this idiot.
Well, this, yeah. But I like things like that, right? I like how it's not, you can't just tell somebody, hey, follow those people, and all of a sudden they become like James Bond, right? Or John Wick, where it's like,
Right.
waiting though. Like, he probably was being super obvious. They caught him. Martha caught him. Because Martha's an old lady. It's not like she's super fast or quick. There's no elevators here. You have to walk down staircases, right? But I just found it interesting because I feel like they are slowly showing us the threads of like people converting one by one, almost to the rebellion side, where
Mhm.
it's just like everybody's gonna have their own individual reason for why they're going against judicial or what's going on. And the catalyst was definitely, Juliet walking over the hill, but for various reasons, people are just gonna be like, listen, nothing you are saying makes any sense anymore, right? And especially once they find out about this tape, if it comes to light, which I assume it will, I feel like that's gonna be one of those straws that breaks the camel's back, and they'll be like,
Mhm.
"There's no way. Like, you gotta
Mhm.
just lying, 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 lying."
We developed a new tape. One scene that I liked, I just thought was from my point of view, was very fun when Carla and Marta in the prison cell. And
Mhm.
Carla's like, I'm going to
Excellent.
tell them everything and anything they want to hear. And then Marta's like, oh, we don't say anything. Just that kind of scene of just like having two
Yeah,
friends. One wants to just,
yeah.
like when you get in trouble, and then one wants to spill the
One just a
beans.
tattletale. The other
One's
one's
just
like,
shut
"Damn, we have
up.
to hold strong," and you just know if they separate them and they interrogate them separately,
Oh, she's spilling everything.
Carla's gonna spill everything she can, even things that aren't even relevant to what
This
the
is what I had
story
for
is.
breakfast. Yeah. And I'm curious again, you mentioned about the camera in that room. I'm curious what that means because, especially
Yeah,
because the people in power already know what happened. They may
yeah,
not know the specifics, but they know that tape was stolen and used
yeah,
to help Juliet survive.
yeah,
So, what more can you gain from the footage? Like, what
yeah,
more do you need to gain? You know, because because for me, I like them being put in prison because it keeps them away once when they tell everybody the news of the tape, you know.
yeah,
So by the time they come out and say anything, it'll just seem as if they're lying. But why
yeah,
are they being filmed? I'm curious. Again, it's
yeah,
not necessarily a plot point, it's not an issue for me. I'm
yeah.
just curious of
Cure.
why that moment's being filmed and what more can you get from them, you know?
Yeah. Maybe specifics of who knows what, or who else is in on the conspiracy. Again, I don't. I guess because the question is even who is watching, right? Who is watching defines what's maybe they're trying to see. But yeah, it could just be, let's see what they say when they don't think anybody's watching, and
Mhm,
get some of the information that we wouldn't get by interrogating them directly,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Anything like that. Um, yeah, I was going to mention also. So with our back to Meadows, I love how definitely some partiality, because she has books, man. She has Wizard of Oz and all
Wizard
these
of
other
Oz,
books, which are
which
which are meant to be banned.
which is great marketing
Hmm.
and not in any way done by design that this episode came out the same week as Wicked. I didn't make it seem as
Ironically,
if it was done on purpose,
that
like
it's what ironically timed, actually. That's
and she
funny.
just wants to fly out of there. Can you get me an air balloon and get out of
Yeah,
here?
I like that. Though. I like the analogy and just the way she explained it, and I feel like she definitely threw Bernard off when she basically said she wants to go outside, right? And I just
Those are
don't.
the words you don't say.
It's and the words Juliet didn't even say it, which I think that's what I find funny. Juliet didn't think she wants to go outside. Sorry, what was that? Oh, you want to go outside, right? Whereas with this, she's like, I'm gonna go outside, and he was like,
No, I didn't hear you. I
Like,
didn't hear a thing. My
quiet.
reception was off. I'm underground.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, I can't hear or see anything. But I found that interesting. I wonder where that's going to. I wonder where that's going to end up because from the what we know about Meadows, she's not a person who like changes her mind per se, right? She seemed very strong-willed and very like I said, like that's what she wants, especially with the fact she's now heard regarding Juliet surviving. So I'm just curious. I'm curious if he's actually going to end up being put in a position to let her leave, or if even she, that's Meadows, eventually turns on Bernard, himself in the future. I don't. I feel like there are quite a few ways things could go because I think one thing we're always sure of is that this rebellion is going to happen. The people are going to have some unrest, and there is going to be a coming to or a clash between
Mm.
judicial and the people in the underground, I'll call it underground. But the question is just to what degree are we going to see people actually step outside? Because I think what I find funniest is that like I almost feel bad for them because like the air is poison outside. First of all, like
That's the thing.
it's
That's the
almost
thing.
like they
It
think
actually
it's
is.
not.
Well, this is. I was going to ask you a question. I didn't want to cut you off. I was going to ask you that question. Is how much do you think Meadows knows? Does she know that the air is toxic? Because I believe that Bernard knows
Mhm,
that the air is toxic. But does she know? Because she just wants to, so does she know that it's toxic and she wants to go out there as a form of suicide and
mhm.
see the earth for one last moment before she dies
Yeah,
because she's over it?
yeah.
Or does she go up there thinking that, oh, this is my next
I
stage
could
of
survive.
survival?
Yeah.
Which do you think it is? Because I don't know right now.
That's interesting. I feel like I don't know. She's been drinking for at least 25 years, right? And I feel like she has a lot of, whether it be depression or just regret. I could definitely see it being, listen, I'm going outside. I'll try my best to stay alive, but if I go, that's that's very okay with me. Like I feel like her intention might be to see what is after the hill, but with the knowledge that there's no guarantee that it's going to be you surviving, right? I feel like she's definitely almost accepted the fact that death could come, but almost like you're saying, like I'd rather die out there voluntarily than shrivel away in here, just living a like subpar life. I feel like I get that vibe from her. Like, why not? Might
Is
as well see something at the
You see,
top.
I get that vibe, but then I think about it more, and this is where my contradiction happens, where I'm like,
Hmm.
I feel like taking the moment to highlight the fact that she's like, I'm gonna stop drinking, I want to have a clear head,
Yeah,
makes it seem as if the opposite, where she's like,
like
this is
she's
like
trying to
starting
sort
anew,
herself. Yeah,
right?
and she's
She's like,
like,
I'm gonna
oh
start
gosh, I have
new.
to survive now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get my shit together. You know,
Hmm.
people, there's a chance at survival. We've heard good news. Someone
Hmm.
survived, and this is our new
Hmm.
chance. I've got to get my shit together and be ready for
Yeah.
that. I feel like you only do that if you think there's a chance of survival,
Survive me, yeah,
right?
for sure. Otherwise, I mean, or I definitely get drunk and then
Yeah,
go up,
exactly.
right? Like, yeah,
I'm getting
like
wasted and then going out
just
there.
and like whatever happens, happens. So I think for sure it's like there's a chance, but I feel like he's also smart enough to know that like it's not 100% chance. It's not like oh we saw Juliet walk into the other silo or like take off in a ship in space. I'm like oh shit I hate that. It's very much like there's a chance. All I need is a chance, right? They
Mhm.
didn't even have a chance before. Before it's been don't
So
go up. If you go up, you die, or it's not even safe. But now it's like oh wait, intriguing. And I guess to give herself the best chance of survival, she has to be sober. And I'm just curious. I'm very curious as to. I guess my question being one, how this rebellion happens. Two, who's the next person to go up? Because
mhm.
we have to see
And how much
some
tape
people
do they
go up.
have?
Yeah, right. How much tape do they actually have? Because even like Martha said earlier, when Martha thought Julia was dead, like there's only so much air in those
Mhm.
suits, anyways. Like
And we saw last week.
tape aside, yeah, right. Oh, that was such a great scene. But like tape aside, it's not just like oh yeah, you can live for like it's never like an hour long
Right.
thing, right? It seems like it's so
She
like 50,
barely made
10,
it in the
15 minutes,
silo.
like 5, 10, 15 minutes max, if anything. So I don't know, and I think that's also what I mean. I like that none of them has the full story. Like between Juliet, between Shirley, Knox, Bernard. Like none of them actually knows. I mean, Bernard has the most picture, but like nobody knows the full extent
Oh, because
of
he didn't
what's
even know
going
what
on.
happened to the other silo. He's just like, they must have killed each other.
Yeah.
So it's not like he has this grand view of everything.
Mm-hmm.
His view is limited. And that's the thing with the show, is that everyone's working on limited information, but
Mm-hmm.
thinks that limited information is the full information.
Yeah.
And this is kind of back and forth play that you're not quite sure who knows what. People are trying to revolve was like, I'm trying to stop this revolution because I'm trying to save your lives, but I'm also
Mm-hmm.
keeping other secrets from you
From
at the
there,
same
yeah.
time. Yeah, and things like that. So it's like, and then top of that, we have we found again, we briefly talked about it. This book, The Order. It's a
Let's just
pretty
try to
thick
work on that.
book.
Yeah.
It has a whole chapter. It's not even a page. It's a whole. It seems like a whole chapter titled "In the Event of Failed Cleaning, Prepare for War."
There's no cleaning
Like
prayer for war.
that's the
Like what?
chapter
Yeah,
title.
like so, like
It's like,
how
you know, and even then it was like, but it doesn't tell us what happens next.
okay, and I'm just too many questions because I'm like to make that kind of book and chapter,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
you must have I don't know seen at least 5 iterations of war. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but like it's not just that like there's no cleaning. People will probably go to war. It's like oh no, we have seen this before.
It's
Like
happened. There's a pattern.
mhm,
There's been a pattern, and we
mhm,
realize that every time people don't clean, this is what happens. Which could have been the reason why they created the holographic visuals in the first place.
mhm,
Because,
mhm,
and that's the thing, right? Before we close out, if you look at how things happen in terms of how the perspective is given, before you
mhm,
leave, you're told, you don't have to clean, but if you see anything that we need to see, please clean for us. So people
mhm,
go out, and because of the holographic display, they're like,
mhm.
oh my God, everything looks perfect. Everybody needs to see this. Let me
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
And so their
Psych.
reasons for cleaning is to show everyone that everything
Yeah.
is good. But everyone down thinks people are just cleaning just to clean because they don't see the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So then they don't, where the person cleaning is cleaning to have them ask questions, it's
Yeah.
the not cleaning that had people like, it
Yeah,
didn't
wait,
clean.
what? He didn't claim. Her fight, revolution.
Which is so funny that the opposite. I think again, this is the manipulation of what the truth is. Right. And again, the episode appropriately titled Order. How do you maintain order? You maintain order by feeding people lies that have semblance of truth
Mhm.
or semblance of the truth they want to hear. Like in this
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
Juliet is a hero. You ask Juliet if she was a hero, she'd be
Bernard
like, "What?
Sutton.
No, I'm not a hero.
No,
What are you
how?
talking about?"
What? Nothing of
They
the sort.
forced me to leave. I wasn't even trying to leave. They
That's
forced
so
me to
funny,
leave.
yeah. Literally was
You
not trying
I
to.
was minding my own business in the lower levels as an engineer, and then suddenly
Mhm.
somebody says, "You're the sheriff
And I'm
now."
the sheriff. I'm just like, oh, okay.
What? I think that's it. If there's
Yeah.
anything else, I think it was a
Okay.
decent episode for
Good stuff,
setting up
yeah.
the rest of the season. Again, I think this is more of a foundational episode. There were some things, particularly the scene between Knox and the guy he meets in the wheelchair. I think that scene felt very exposition heavy. It felt like, like, oh, I'm not like my father. Oh, I liked your father. He helped me out. Like you had moments like that where it's just like you're telling each other things that you shouldn't have to audibly say.
It's it, yeah.
Who are you talking
Yeah.
to? Like
Yeah.
in movies when they were like, "Hi, it's me, your brother." It's like,
Oh,
it's
hey,
like
bro.
what? What?
Yeah.
You could have better ways to set that up.
Mhm.
But it's overall, I think it's again sometimes you have to kind of like get the foundation out the way so we can get to the good
Mhm.
stuff. And so hopefully we get more focused on the good stuff and get back to the mystery of the man behind the visor with two color eyes.
Yeah, I'm
See where
super
that goes.
excited. I think I personally think I don't want them to separate the episodes anymore. I hope it was just like a
At
beginning
least
thing.
balance both. Have longer episodes
Yeah,
and balance
just
both.
yeah, like even if I don't have to be 50-50, right? But slice in, slice in because I'm now curious about both sides and I don't want to kind of wait a week to fill in the blanks on and I'm not complaining about these two, just that I think now they've set it up. We've seen what's going on in Juliet Silo, seen what's going on here. Now let's see what's going on together.
But do you also think we're going to get more flashbacks and information on the past in terms
No,
of that other
100%.
silo as well?
100%.
Of course. Well, I'm excited
There's
to
so
see
many
all that.
questions. Yeah,
Right?
I
So many
mean, like
questions.
some of the maybe we get a full flashback episode, knowing that, and like but let's see. Again, there's a lot they can do with both the past, the present, and the future.
Mhm.
But I do hope, and I think they will. Their track record, they seem to always cover the story element. So
Mm.
I hope everything. I hope there are no real loose ends by the end, but I'm not expecting there will be. I think they more or less will cover everything that they brought up and just let us know the why, the who, the what's going on, and yeah, what does it all end with for the rebellion?
Mhm. Well, what do you nerdies think is going on in this show? What do you think of this episode and the season so far? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also find us on email, the nerdy bunch podcast at gmail.com. We like to get any of your theories, your thoughts, and recommendations on shows and movies you think we should be watching. Check out some of our other podcasts. We are currently doing Arcane. We're about to record this week
The
the final
finale.
chapter of actually final of the
Yep.
series finale. Actually,
Yep.
yes, it's finishing. Can't wait to watch
Tomorrow.
that. That airs
Excited.
tomorrow as we record this. We're also doing Dune Prophecy. Really enjoying that show as a sci-fi nerd. Check that out, and whatever's coming up in the next few weeks. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name's English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review of Silo Season 2, Episode 2. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.